So we're coming to, I'm not sure if it's our penultimate session or our pre-penultimate session. I'm very delighted to be here with Rachel and with Sarah, both who have not met before but have both been on seed programmes here, and Emma, who's sitting in the front row, actually also, and Denise. All different programmes which we've been part of, what's our seed and Bersen Centre, and doing programmes here, and also Power 7 and all the things that go on here, so it's been really great to get to meet you all. And I've asked Sarah and Rachel to tell their stories, because Rachel is a sheep farmer, a big change of life, and deciding to come down to Dorset and start having sheep, which was very brave, and a lot you've learned since then, I'm sure. We'll talk about that experience and what you're doing with the wool. And I'm sorry, I'm my shoes. And Sarah is living out in Somerton, near Somerton, in a field where I have visited, where she has taken this amazing project on, growing organic food and living very close to nature.
Very.
And also doing her art pieces and all the rest of it. And really, it's like, yeah, amazing amount of courage, I would say, as a wisdom keeper, wise woman, grandmother, to go down and do what she's doing. It's absolutely amazing, actually. And lovely Emma in the front row has started a forest school, which she was wanting to do, and came on the seed course and is now up and running. So I've asked her, she's brought her vision poster, and we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. If we can get the camera moving round, so, or we'll get you, because I want to sort of film your story as well. And of course, all of you who've been here today. And Jenny, of course, who's got her fantastic project, Hawker Farm, up the road from here, where she does so many things, it's incredible. So ecological, environmental farming, events, what else? The rainforest, the clothes swaps, I mean just endless wonderful things. Has really made a huge change in the community, so it's fantastic that you're here. So I want everybody to use this. First of all, we'll hear a little bit about Rachel's story, a little bit about Sarah's story, and then we'll start sharing it as a group, because we are a smaller group, so it's an opportunity to hear. And you've got your own growing space farm, which I'd like to hear more about. So we'll enjoy into farm growing, aren't you? Growing sunflowers, because you brought me some last year.
I'm into growing, also growing, because I make things with organic essential oils.
Oh, that's right, so you do.
So
we can talk about that. Oh, brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to start, first of all, Rachel, with you. If you just talk a little bit about how you got here.
So, well, I've got a farm near Gillingham, and 150 acres, grassland. Well, it was always a grassland farm, it was a dairy farm. And when we came, there was a contractor there, and he was growing arable crops, unsuccessfully, because it's heavy clay, and it was ploughed deep, all the clay was brought to the top, we lost all the topsoil. And I was half in Oxford because the children were at school there, and half in Dorset, and so I wasn't really paying attention to the farm. But we never made any money, and except the contractor always got paid. So I just said to my husband one day, I think, could I have the farm? Can I take the farm over? So he was thrilled, yes, please, because he's a scientist. He wasn't doing anything with the farm himself. It was, you know, we just had the contractor. So he said, yes, carry on, just do what you think. So being a gardener, I could see that the soil was dead. I mean, there was no life in it at all. And so I thought, well, it can't be that difficult. It's like gardening, but just on a bigger scale. So I thought, well, I'm not quite sure what are we going to do with the grass. So I thought, well, maybe I'll get some livestock. And I thought, cows. Well, cows are a bit big, so I think I won't go for cows. So I went for sheep. And I went to the Wilton Sheep Fair, and I bought 4 sheep, and that was love. I was completely sold.
How long ago was that?
That was about 8 years ago, 10 years ago maybe, I'm not quite sure. And I now have 2 flocks, a pedigree Dorset Down flock and a pedigree Shetland flock, and they rotate around the farm on a mob grazing system. I move them daily, not all through the year daily, but it's all regenerative farming. And we've put in a wetland corridor, so all the arable is gone. It's all back to grass, diverse mix, maize, and I've planted trees. I've laid all the hedges. the animal, the wildlife has come back, the biodiversity is there. It's we've put a wetland corridor in with the Environment Agency to slow the flow of the water because it's on a hill down to the flat bit, and we have a river going through the farm, and it was just flooding, and it was sort of coming to that near our back door. So we had to do something, and the Environment Agency said, you know, should we do a project? And so we said yes, please. And so we've got this beautiful wetland corridor going down through the farm, which is slowing all the flow of the water. We've smashed the land drains. And my neighbour, who came round the other day, he said, "Oh, I don't believe in this. And I think, you know, you're going to be in big trouble." And
is he a farmer?
He's a farmer, yes. And he said, "No, no, no." And we did talk about it. And I mean, you know, he had some points, and but I didn't agree with him. So yes. So the farm is coming alive again, and I sell the meat, 100% pasture-fed meat, which is certified by Pasture for Life, so they have no concentrates at all. And I sell the meat from the shop. I've got a small shop. We press the apples from the orchard. About a ton of apples this year we got, and we pressed it, sell that in the shop. And I have all the wool clip processed. So all from a shearing, I will roll the fleeces myself and sort them, and then I take them down to the Natural Fibre Company in Cornwall, and it's all spun by them. It then goes for spinning, for dyeing, and then to Wales for weaving, or I'll have it back for hand knitting wool, which I sell in the shop, and this is my first machine knit, which came this week.
Really nice.
So that's another product. But I was so interesting talking this morning about getting other people onto the land, and I really feel I'm getting older now. I don't really want to be doing everything I'm doing. I want to concentrate
School
on,
trips.
well, I've got, we have a small classroom, so I've got children coming, and but that's great fun. I love doing that.
Yeah.
And then I have farmer to farmer groups. Then we meet up, and then the vet does something, and we had methane testing this week. It was an enormous trailer.
What did you think about the talks this morning about bringing women together in groups to sort of share what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's needed.
Yeah.
It really is needed. And also just getting people on the land. I was very interested that she said 51% of people.
Yeah, well, women farmers.
Women are farmers.
Yeah.
Farmers are women. But there are lots of people coming out of these colleges, particularly learning regenerative agriculture, who want to get onto the land. They don't have land. They don't have access to land. Land is too expensive. And there could be so many things happening on this farm. There could be a market garden, there could be pastured hens, there could be pastured pigs, there could be a micro dairy, there could be a beef herd, there could be bees, there could be, you know, I've put agroforestry lanes in, now we're going to have fruit and nuts that will come from it, you know.
You can't do it all on your own.
I can't do it. I don't want to do it all. I've got
Presumably your
enough.
daughter's not, where's she sitting?
But I think...
have you been down to Higher Farm? Have you seen what? They've got a huge crowd of them.
Yes, there's a crowd, and they're young, they're very young. I'm a bit
very young.
old and I'm not sure I'm so appealing.
No, but I'm thinking that there probably are, I know, just throwing ideas out
But
there.
they are very
women.
Entrepreneurial.
Perhaps they are very entrepreneurial. Perhaps urban, young women from cities who would love to come and start. Right, but that goes back to the woofer thing, doesn't it? Where are you going to put them? And then you talk about the caravan issue.
That's the thing, is it's accommodation. It's not having...
Yeah.
We do, and I think the government have got to step up, because food is so... I mean, it is very cheap. It's too cheap. And, you know, and we're all spending our money on housing and energy. Whereas our income used to be, you know, we used to spend about 30% of our income on food, whereas now it's about 10%. And I think we need to value really good food. and buy local.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
Well, we were talking this morning about couldn't there be more farmers markets, which,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, fruit's always pretty busy, but that's not a farmers market actually at all, really. But real farmers markets, not the guys that just go around from market to market
Yeah.
selling stuff that they've bought, you know, cheap from the wholesalers, but actual farmers markets. I think that would.
Yes, and then within a sort of catchment, or a radius or something, you can sell at that market,
Yes,
so that all the small farmers can.
Yeah, come together. I
Can
think
come
there's a lot of
together.
good ideas, but somebody has to organise it. It's obviously not going to be you. It's not going to be me.
No.
But collectively, that's what Lulu was saying. We could do something. It could be you.
No, because I'm
I
going to
feel
say
like
I'm
I
a bit
could-
too old.
Be
It's a case of, it's a case of, I think it's the younger people because it's for the future.
It
So
is
us
for the future.
oldies can do
Yeah.
stuff, and we can start to make a change and go, let's open up some of these opportunities, let's make these opportunities
Yeah.
happen. But somebody else has to take those forward because actually we're on the back burner now.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing
Yes.
something that actually
I haven't got the
you're
energy.
doing what I want to do, but I've only got 14 acres and you've got however many hundreds of acres. And it's just a case of, I'm just doing it on a smaller scale, basically, and I've only just started as opposed to 8 or 10 years ago. If I'd been doing this 8 or 10 years ago, I would have been further ahead as well, and now I probably would have solved some of that problem. But I've got a problem in that I am living on my land, but I'm not supposed to be,
No.
because I haven't gone through the whole process yet. I'm in the process
And
of
you're
going
off
through the
grid, aren't
process. I'm completely off grid, apart from the shed down at the bottom.
Yeah.
So most of what I do is smaller scale than you, but I had pigs last year, I've got a French sheep coming on this year, I've got a market garden set up. I do grow vegetables, but not to the scale that the previous chap did, because it's just me on my own. I'm planting trees, I'm planting agroforestry, we're doing a similar, absolutely
Yes.
similar watercourse thing for you, because it's to stop flooding in the village. So everything you've done, I'm doing a smaller scale, absolutely the same. And I would like to do more educational stuff on the land. I would like people to be able to come in and use some of the allotment space within the market garden, either to learn or to do their own thing, don't mind which, but to get people so that there is access to land. So you can get your fingers in the soil. Even if you just literally sit there with your fingers in the soil, just going, oh, I can breathe, and watch the buzzards and watch we've got an barn owl that flies around. Part of the owl group, I'm part of the Bumblebee Conservation Trust. We're trying to grow the flowers that a particular bumblebee needs. It's a tiny one called the shrill carder, and so the Bumblebee Conservation Trust came around last year and they funded a flower meadow. So that we're hoping to do as well. So exactly the same sort of things as you, it's just I'm 10 years behind you.
Well, I haven't got the people there yet. I mean,
No, I haven't got people either. I'm
is
on my own as well.
That is
on
the
my
problem,
own.
and it should be a community of people.
It should be, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Everybody providing food for their community.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also the farm providing that space for people to actually come and physically work.
Yeah.
The physical work on land is as important as what is produced.
Do you think we can come up with some solutions by having, I'm not saying today we can come up with it, what's come through from various people here, including Sarah, I finally say, and Lulu, and other people that are here, is can we meet again and talk, can we come up with some solutions? Which I haven't been my thought from today,
Yes.
but actually, you know, once we share
Yeah,
and talk,
I
maybe
think-
we can come up with some
And actually,
ideas.
this mental health issue was
Yes,
very
and mental health
relevant.
and how that relates to the quality of the soil
Yeah.
itself. And if we're not looking forward, we're not looking after the soil, then that's going to affect, you know, we are the soil.
Well, the
we
soil
are
is
the land.
everything.
Yeah, the
So
soil
I
is
think it's
absolutely
an ongoing
everything.
conversation.
Because
Yeah,
the
that-
soil is just a metaphorical thing, because
Yeah.
you can't plant seeds in bad soil.
No.
And if you've got a community that don't have that
Yes.
mental and emotional interest and connection,
Yeah.
you're sowing seeds on bad soil. So you can talk the hind leg off a bloody donkey about what we should be doing or how
Yeah.
we should be doing it. But if people aren't engaged in that, you're sowing seeds on poor soil. So the soil improvement is key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely key.
Yeah.
You've got to get rid of the chemicals, improve the soil, and then sow the seeds. And those seeds are stories, they're discussions, they're ideas, they're
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Can
of
I
it.
just say, the biggest factor listening to you talking is that these are young people who need to work on these farms. And all the developers now talk about affordable housing, they're building affordable housing. I live in Oakford Fitzpaine. And
In a what?
Oakford
in
Fitzpaine.
Oakford Fitzpaine. And I'm on a new development, very small one, but part of that is affordable housing. But they can't afford it.
No, they can't afford it.
Because you've got to think to travel, you know, they've got to have a car, there's no transport. But it's got to be
But with farming, you need to be on the land.
Yes.
You know, with the market
So the
garden,
housing thing is the
you need
big
to
part
water
of
in
it.
the evening,
Yes.
or you know.
But they need to make the affordable housing affordable for
Yeah, but that's
people.
a kind of slightly separate thing. But if they anyway.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it needs accommodation, it needs
It's-
affordable
it's
housing.
bringing
Near
affordable
where the
housing,
small
yeah,
farms
affordable
are,
housing
so
on
if
the
you're on
land
the
is
affordable
what it
housing,
is.
but it needs a
But you're
combination.
not
Yes,
allowed,
it's a
are you,
combination.
to put, you're not supposed to put any living accommodation. You know,
If it's on wheels and it can move,
Yeah.
there's
You
a
can.
28-day rule, and you have to move it off after 28 days.
For how long?
Well, I mean, it depends how beady people are and your
I mean,
neighbours
this is.
watch.
I know so many people, young people, and people in their 40s, families, my own family, and their whole dream, and it's my dream too, and I'm much too old, is that we come together in community and we live off grid and we find some land together and we have cross generational. And that's my vision. So I mean, it's anyway. We'll just keep talking about it. It's Jenny.
Well, I just thought, I mean, is it a barrier in people coming to volunteer? They think, why should I volunteer on a farm when the farmer, the owner, is going to profit from my volunteer hours? So that's a slightly different thing than living on a farm and working.
And having your
as
own
a worker
business.
And having your own business
on
there.
a farm.
But talking about
Who does you,
communities-
what do you do? Because you've got a big place. So how do you?
Well, struggle because we pay someone to come and help with the market,
so you're not having people living there. You're more
But
employing people.
and it's that same thing with accommodation, because my dream would be to have, not in competition with you, but to have things that were growing that people could make a living from and so on. But and there's somebody just down the road from me, and they've got 3 acres, and they've made a huge willow plantation. They make everything from coffins to so on, and they had a planning application for a dwelling there. It was turned down at the same time as barn conversion down the road was allowed to go through, and they quoted, because I went to the planning meeting, that you can't build in it because you're isolated and you're not near shops, and yet if you've got Park Q in barn, you're allowed to do it. So then the planning really needs to be sorted out so that you can have small scale businesses with like a proper accommodation.
Yeah, well, as we were saying earlier, Sarah, Miss Sarah Dax talked unfortunately, but she was saying that the planning situation is this. That's the conversation I think that needs to happen.
Well, that's actually what Rachel
The
brought up.
conversation needs to be, we need to look at what those planning regulations are, because there's permissive development, there's planning permission, there's this, there's that.
Yeah.
Those need to be looked at and changed.
Yeah.
They're out of date, they don't
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
favour huge developments for low cost housing. They do not favour those people who actually want to live and work on the land and actually live relatively cheaply.
And want to look
You don't
after the
need-
land. It's not like you
yeah.
want to go and destroy the land.
Exactly.
You want to restore the
So
land.
it's not about building a housing estate, it's about
No.
building a small dwelling where you only live.
Well, they can be wooden pods.
Yeah. They
Yeah,
can be a log
yeah.
cabin, they can be
They
anything.
can be cabin with.
Yeah.
They don't have to, but it needs to be a home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't just
Somewhere where they
built
can
with foundations.
put down
and-
roots
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Yeah. You can
So I think
flush
that's a
and join it.
conversation that could happen with the likes of us and the landlords, because they need to understand what the requirements are, and those requirements have
And-
changed.
Yeah.
And it's not because we want to build housing estates, it's because people want to come back on the land.
Yes, and lots of people want to come
Yeah,
back.
Lots of people, lots of
So
young
many.
people from cities that
So
want to get out.
many.
Well, this is a conversation. I'm sorry you missed Sarah Dyke, but she's agreed to come back. So you better
I'd like to
come
meet
next
her
time.
because she has some of my chutney at one of her recent do's up in London.
Oh,
Her chutney sent up for
Okay,
me.
well,
So
that's a very good reason to meet her, but also to have this
yes,
conversation.
definitely.
This is really, really important because it's obviously something very valid. I know you were saying you've got accommodation in your place. Did you say that to me? Because you were looking for a
We
grant.
have it's a temporary structure. It's a mobile home.
Yeah.
So, we do the WOOF scheme as well, worldwide opportunity on organic farms. That's how we've managed to get quite a lot of labour. It's a system where people will give a certain number of hours a week in return for board and lodging, essentially. But they're often unskilled, not always. Some of them come with amazing skills,
Yeah.
not just agricultural. But if they are unskilled, you spend a lot of your time teaching them, which is fine.
And I guess
to a
Brexit has affected that as well, hasn't it? Because a lot of them are Europeans as well, aren't they? Or
It hasn't, because they can cut. It's not a work visa.
Oh,
Because it's
that's
work.
right,
It's
yeah.
a charity work,
But they're limited
and
time,
they're not
aren't
being
they?
paid.
Because I
Eleanor did it, you did it in
Yeah.
California.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
3 to 6 months limited, depending on where they're coming from.
Yeah, I had a young Italian girl here
Yeah.
and she was had to leave.
Yeah.
She was doing 90 days. And had to go
Yeah.
back.
But then often if you have like one woofer crossing over with another, then that woofer can teach the new one.
Yeah.